Yeah, let's take a close look at that game. The Saints opened 3.5. The early number is now up to 4.5 with a total of 49.5. This is a tough road stretch for San Francisco. 3 of the last 4 games on the road, although they did have a bye a couple weeks ago. It's also a stretch playing 4 of 5 away, and they're just not playing good football right now. Denver blew them out, and they come off that shocking loss to the Rams, 13-10. And then the Saints team, 4-4 record, exact same as San Francisco, and yet they're in first place in this very weak NFC South. So Harvard, the 49ers, they have actually some really good statistics, but it would suggest a real good team, but they're not playing good football right now.
Well, it's funny, you just mentioning, hey, they could be in the Super Bowl, and I'm thinking they can't even beat the Saints this weekend. So I don't know. Something's got to give. Like you said, it's not so bad losing at Denver. I can understand that. They got blown out. Maybe they quit halfway through or whatever, or readjusted things. But that game last week, up front that St. Louis always gives them a hard time. They should have been prepared for that. I don't know what they needed to do other than get in from the 1 foot line or something like that, but they didn't. And you know what? Let's don't focus on what everybody's showing. They had other chances in the red zone to get in, and they didn't. I think Kaepernick is probably the main problem. When you got Bolden and you got Crabtree and you got Frank Gore all in your backfield or on your wideouts, to absolutely keep your offensive balance, they got a decent defense and things like that. It's got to come down to Kaepernick and his offensive line. Do you realize that in the last 2 weeks, I think 2 weeks ago, he was sacked 6 times against Denver and then sacked 8 times against St. Louis. St. Louis got in the backfield. That's 14 sacks in 2 weeks. Well, he's going up against a New Orleans Saints. Breeze has only been sacked 11 times for the entire year. So there's something about that offensive line. And here's what I say. If you can't win in California, how in the hell are you going to win in New Orleans, in Drew Brees' house? You're just not going to. So I say, let's go take the Saints. They're marching in, and the 49ers will be lucky to even be crawling out, much less marching out. Saints blow them out, and then all the talk can get going between the clubhouse, the locker room, upper management, if the coach is going to Michigan or if he's going to stay, what the problems are in that locker room. And then we can really have some fun next week talking about that.
Yeah, it is astounding to me that this 49er defense, 3rd in the NFL against the pass, 5th against the run. Nothing wrong with this defense. Normally teams like that would be one of the top teams in the conferences at this point in the season, but they haven't been. And the problems have been this offense, as you mentioned, the passing offense, just not good at crunch time and not getting there. 49ers historically have been very good in bounce back mode, 25-9-3 against the spread after a spread loss, and after a straight up loss, they're 24-11-2 against the spread. Zach, the Saints have to be feeling good about themselves despite this 4-4 record, because they come off a couple of big wins, first place now, and the offensive statistics are sensational. But what's wrong with this defense? Have they turned it around yet?
They're not a defense that's going to be a top-rated defense. They're going to have to win with the way their offense is playing and then getting opportunistic turnovers like they did last week against Carolina, which was a main driver in that win. Cam Newton's fumble inside the 5-10 yard line of their own territory. And Carolina just didn't take advantage of opportunities. I think Cam Newton was just off. His receivers were dropping the ball, and that's the way that game went on Thursday night. Saints definitely a great home team. If it's going to be a 4.5-point spread, I think I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers. While Hollis was talking there, I had some key teams that I was thinking in my head of San Francisco's played, so I just looked it up, and they have played. It has to be the best schedule or worst schedule for them, but the best schedule in terms of opponents in the National Football League. They played the Denver Broncos, Kansas City Chiefs, Arizona Cardinals, Philadelphia Eagles, Dallas Cowboys, and the Chicago Bears. And I think every one of those teams besides the Bears are above 500 and well above 500. And then they played St. Louis Rams twice. People are going to think on this loss to the St. Louis Rams, and it's definitely a bad loss, but when you're playing 6 to 8 divisional games a year, you're going to have that 1 or 2 games that you just don't look like you're supposed to be. New England had that against Miami. Denver's had it before against San Diego. Go on and on and on. And I think that's what happened with San Francisco. The gap between their first matchup against St. Louis Rams and the game they just played was a matter of 2 to 3 weeks. So it's very tough to come out there and game plan strengths and weaknesses when you just played a team just a few weeks ago. So I think there's going to be some value here on the 49ers. Obviously, they're going to have to do something with Colin Kaepernick, but the Saints aren't a strong defense, so maybe do some more rollouts with Kaepernick, get him going. We've seen him this year capable of making some big plays with his arm, and I watched the entire game against the Rams, but they just were bogged down from the get-go. It was 10-0 early, and they couldn't do anything offensively. So they've got to attack early, get Kaepernick feeling comfortable. And it's going to be a back-and-forth game, no doubt about it. They've got to win the turnover battle, and I'm going to take the 49ers based on their strength of schedule this year. I think they'll come out ready to play. And maybe they do start getting on a mini run like John was saying. And the Saints, even though I mentioned on them 17-1, I think they can win this. They can win this division 7-9. It could be that bad this year. So I'm still not worried about the Saints, and they might win the game by 3 points. But 4.5 is too much for me.
Well, I'm going to take a look at the total. Here's an indoor game, and I can see the Saints getting up 13-0, for instance, and then that's going to force the normally conservative 49ers to open it up. Saints are third in the NFL passing the football. They're seventh in rushing. We know they can score, particularly at home. And both teams actually are loaded with offensive weapons. The 49ers, as Harvard mentioned, they don't always use them, but they're going to have to if they get behind. So I'll look at a high-scoring game in this one, although keep in mind, trend players, when these teams meet in New Orleans, 8-3-2 under the total.